Okay, I can see lots of people have logged in, and hopefully you saw a little bit of that video as you were coming in and getting ready. This evening, we're here. It's about unlocking your potential, and we're working with the CC and the LEP in Cumbria. My name's Max. I work for Pathway CTM, and I'm here to host tonight's session. So I'm just here to help move things along. What's important about tonight is it's about Cumbria, it's about the opportunities that are there, and it's about unlocking your potential. We're going to hear from lots of speakers, we're going to see lots of videos, and you're going to have a chance to ask questions. So as we go through it, you'll be able to ask questions and interact with us. There is a chat box, there's a Q&A box. I know that some of you have found the chat box already, which is great. If you've got questions as we go along, put them in the Q&A box. We'll be able to answer them as we go through the session tonight. There's different speakers about different areas, and they're experts on different parts of it. And we're going to see videos. Think about the questions you've got. Think about any information you want from tonight's session. Remember, take the opportunity to ask questions. Like we said, my name is Max. I work for Pathway CTM. The whole reason why I'm here is to help the session move along. So I'll be looking at your questions and making sure they get to the right people. Pathway CTM are helping host this. And so remember, it's all about what's going on in your area, and it's about how to unlock your potential in your area. With that, I am going to hand over to somebody who's going to speak with a bit more authority and have a bit more of an introduction. So we've got Susan Lamb. So good evening, Susan. How are you? Welcome.
Good evening, Max. Really pleased to introduce the session tonight. My name's, as we said, my name's Susan Lamb, and I'm a contract manager for Inspira in Cumbria. This event tonight was born out of something that we've run in Mayfield and James Rennie special schools in the past, and we called those events Life After School. Due to the lockdown, we've had to move to virtual, so this is very much a pilot session, and we'll very much like to have some feedback, and we'd very much like to be able to repeat this in the future. Firstly, I'll talk you a little bit through the agenda tonight. The first part of the session will be around leisure. So we've got people first, and from Whitehaven Harbour Youth Project, from Morgan Sindel, who are going to talk you through about the importance of belonging to youth groups and extracurricular activities for young people. And then we'll move on to your education. And we've got Joanne Beach from the local authority, who is going to talk to you about pathways for young people with more complex needs as they leave special schools in the county. The final part of the evening is around that work experience, the importance of young people with SEN getting work experience and getting into the workplace. Andren from Adult Education, who's going to showcase the I-Level Needs Study Programme, and Elizabeth Atkinson from CAFA, who has a presence on Sellafield, is going to talk about young people with education healthcare plans going into paid employment. We've got a little bit on supported internships from the Oakley Trust, and the County Council are going to talk to us about applications for apprenticeships. We've got the work experience coordinator from James Rennie talking about what their work experience program looks like, and People First talking about their new catering academy. I really hope that you'll take advantage of tonight, and I really hope that you'll give us some feedback, some honest like to build on today. This is very much a pilot, and we really hope that it's really successful. It's a new way of doing it for everybody, so just sit back, enjoy it, and do ask questions. There is a recording of the programme, so if you listen to something and don't quite get it at the end, you can log on to it. The only other thing I need to say is we have had a resource that we haven't had time to put on today, nor did we feel it was appropriate. So if for anybody that is interested, the Cumbria Youth Alliance have put a video, provided us with a video about facilitating work experience for young people with SEND. And that will go on the Inspire for Life YouTube channel. And there's also other videos from CAFA and from Link Recruitment in Carlisle. We didn't feel, because it wasn't more county-wide, that we didn't feel it was appropriate today, but they will be on the Inspire for Life YouTube channel. So I really do hope you enjoy this evening. Thank you, Max.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much, Susan. Lots of important points in there. Remember, you do have the Q&A box. Use it. Ask questions. Yes, the event is being recorded tonight, and the recording will be available after the event. So like Susan said, if there's anything that you didn't catch during the presentation this evening that you want to go back and have a look at, the recording will be available. Similarly, if you watch this and you think this is great, and I know of other people who are going to benefit from watching this, you can let them know about it and they can watch the recording as well. So there's lots of benefits to it. We have got lots of people to hear from. We've got lots of videos to watch. There's lots of information. So please interact with us. Use the chat box. Use the Q&A box. And let's get moving. So let's get on to the next slide. So I believe I'm going to talk about your leisure and out of school activities. And we've got Chris Tolley from People First. Are you there, Chris?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. Hear you very well.
Bob, great. Yeah, so just a quick introduction really is that my name's Chris Tolley. I work for People First and I am the inclusion team manager within the Education Research and Inclusion team. So I'm here mainly today to tell you a little bit about the youth projects that we run. So if anyone's got any questions, please let me know. I'll run through them, but I'm more than happy to send additional information out to people who feel like they need it. So there's quite a lot of information that'll come. So we have two youth projects. I'll tell you about them individually. So our first youth project is called Talk Active. They're both funded by Children in Need. Talk Active works with young people who learn difficulties and autism, and it runs in North and West Cumbria. It's a 3-year project, and it's currently just started its 3rd year, so we're in its final year at the moment. And the project really focuses on supporting young people with learning difficulties and autism aged 10 to 18 to develop skills, knowledge and experience around 6 key areas of life. So these are things that people might not necessarily learn as such in schools or educational settings. When we created the project, we worked with young people who were part of our previous project to identify areas that they felt they would benefit from support from and learning about. So we created 6 key areas which links in with People First's 6 key areas as well, which they apply to self-advocacy groups. So they're slightly different. So we have things like future life, skills for life, relationships, a healthy life. So all the activities and workshops that we do are focused on those areas and providing opportunities and information around those topics, if you like. So the way we work with people, sorry, I've just seen a question. I'll come back to questions in a second, if that's okay. Yeah, so the way in which we do that is we run a program of activities. So we run our own activities. It's been affected a little bit by COVID, well, a lot by COVID. Previously, what we used to do is we used to run weekly activities where we would go out into the community and would very much put the emphasis on having fun. But inside of those, there'd be something called a crucial conversation, which would underpin it and it would link to one of the key topics. So, for example, if we were to do something like canoeing or rock climbing, things that really require someone to be safe, we would talk about how they could transfer, things that they learn during that to be safe in everyday life, and the importance of being safe. And then that could lead into discussions about how you can stay safe online, crossing the street, a range of different things really. So we try and apply that approach to everything that we do. Since COVID has hit us, we've been unable to do the face-to-face and the community-based activities. So we've moved online quite recently. So we're doing workshops similar to that, but online. So we're doing things like quizzes, workshops around certain things, just dropping in chat sessions. So we're still having them conversations with people. Another way in which we reach young people is, so there are activities that we do when we invite people to come and attend, so there we host those things. Another thing that we do is we go into schools, youth clubs, and different settings and run sessions there as well, not in curricular time. But we work with classes to run those sessions. So we've been to William Howard School, we've been to James Rennie, we've been to quite a few different schools to do that. And you know, we've worked with over, I think, 130 now. Over 200 people I think we've worked with so far in the 2 years. And you know, we've had some really positive outcomes from it as well. So and there's, I'm trying to think, there's no big referral process that people need to come through in order to access us. You know, they simply get my details and just get in touch, and then from that we'll have a conversation and then take it from there. There's no cost associated with any of the activities, whether they're community based, when they can happen again, or whether they are you know, online. Any cost would just be associated to an activity that we do. So for example, if we do go canoeing, they would just pay the admission for the canoeing. We don't take any money. I think that's about it for Talk Active. Does anybody have any questions on that project while I'm focused on that one? Do you want to do that now, Max, or should I do that at the end?
I mean, do you want me to, we can play the video whilst people think about questions, if that's going to get people's brains thinking, if you want.
Well, I don't mind. I mean, I've still got next steps, our next project to quickly talk about. If I could do that, and then we'll come back to questions if you like.
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
So that was Talk Active, and our new project, which actually launches properly in December and January, is called Next Steps. So that's funded by Children in Need as well, and that really came around because of the pandemic. So Children in Need, you know, released some money to support young people during the pandemic. So our project's called Next Steps, and again, that's North and West Cumbria. That works with young people with learning difficulties and autism aged 10 to 18. So very similar in that respect, but two different projects. So this project is around supporting people during the pandemic, but also to come with a big focus on, you know, coming out the other side of the pandemic, as and when sort of government guidelines allow. And there's three main areas of that. So what we're going to do is we are going to work with young people to support them and their families to become more tech savvy, so they can communicate and link in with people remotely and digitally. So that might be one-to-one work, group interventions, like workshops that we do with people. The second main outcome for that is around supporting people to go back into the community. So there are things like preparation. So what's happening in that time in regard to guidance, you know, we'll do things around safety and building confidence, and like literally taking, you know, those first steps for some people. So we'll organize activities out in the community, again, we get in line with guidance. And yeah, so we might go for walks in smaller groups, and again, get people's confidence up as we do, you know, with view of them having greater inclusion in the community, you know, in the months that follow that, and as things, you know, hopefully get back to normal. The third main outcome of that is for young people to have greater inclusion compared to what they did prior to COVID and the pandemic. So whether that be a mixture of digitally, in person, you know, we'll work with young people to identify things that they like to be involved with, and, you know, through signposting and attending with them, you know, and the preparation phase, we will support people to hopefully achieve that. So we want people to be in, you know, sort of a better, more whole position after the pandemic than prior to it, if you like. So they're our main outcomes for that project. Again, the referral process is very simple. Get in touch with me, and then I would then signpost you to the right project, and then we go from there. Again, the same with the costs. Minimum cost, any cost would be associated with any activities that we were to do. And I think that's about it. So yeah, play the video if you like, Max, and if I think of anything else, I'll say afterwards, and then I'm happy to take questions.
Brilliant. Okay, let's go for it. Let's play the video.
Cheers.
So I'm joined now by Stuart from Whitehaven Harbour Youth Project, and he's just going to tell us why you might want to consider joining a youth group.
So most towns in your local town will have a youth group, and most of them have one that is dedicated especially for young people who may not fit into the mainstream youth groups and youth activities. So at Harbour Youth Project, we have a group which meets once a week on a Tuesday evening in our centre, so the young people have access to all the facilities in there, the pool table, the table tennis table. We're fortunate, but so are some of the other youth groups, that they've got a sports hall nearby, and they also offer some physical activities like badminton and five-a-side football and things like that. And most youth groups, I think, also do trips. So some do trips out on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I think even occasionally there's the opportunity to stay away for a night in a different place and go and visit things there. Because of the Harbour Youth Project, we do a number of outdoor activities. So we've had some of the young people take part in climbing and canoeing and things like that. But there are a wide variety of clubs out there, all offering slightly different things. But I think if you look in your local town, you will find a group there that meets and that you could join and feel comfortable and happy. And you tend to find that you meet a lot of their people from your school also go to that group, and that you're actually among friends. You're not really on your own. You are amongst friends that you've met in school already.
Thanks very much.
Hi. So the project I'm going to talk about is Copeland Future Pathways. This programme is intended to help young people to develop skills and help them in the next stage of their learning. This programme is managed by Cumbria Police and coordinated from Copeland Hub. I co-deliver the programme, which is now funded by Morgan Sindel Infrastructure. The aims of the programme include raising awareness and aspirations, building confidence and self-esteem, increasing resilience and positive behaviours, and increasing physical health and activity. These aims are achieved by a blend of outdoor and classroom-based activities. All the outdoor activities take place at Whitehaven Harbour Youth Project.
Okay, that's the video. We have had a couple of questions come in. I don't know if you can answer them directly, Chris. I believe this one is to you, and it's about your contact details, because you mentioned about people being able to get in touch. If that is something that you can share, then afterwards, if you try, you can type it into the chat box for those who are interested. Is that okay with you?
Oh yeah, no, sure, that's fine. I'll yeah, I'm more than happy to. Did you say, sorry, put them in the chat channel?
Yeah, put them in the chat box. If you just click on all, do it to all panelists and attendees, and then everybody will see it. And then also, what are the age restrictions? Are there any age restrictions?
10 to 18 for each of the projects. Yeah, so we can show a little bit of sort of discretion with the upper age limit.
Okay, that's cool. So you can show a bit of discretion. And then there was another question as well about this being rolled out to the Eden area. Is it going to be rolled out to the Eden area?
Yeah, I mean, it does cover that area, and particularly, you know, as I say, at the minute when things are remote, I'd open it to anyone who wants to come. So we've had people in sort of South Cumbria who've displayed an interest, and because we run it remotely at the minute, you know, it'd be more difficult to do physical activities in those areas. But yeah, I mean, certainly as it's remote, I'm, you know, happy for people if they feel they would benefit from coming along. Then I'm, you know, more than people are more than welcome to come along.
Perfect. And then how do people access the next steps of their eligibility criteria?
So not as such. I mean, what we do is we promote what we do, and then so it would be, you know, for both of them, working with young people with learning difficulties and autism aged 10 to 18. And then if people feel they meet that criteria, for want of a better term, then they can, you know, display an interest in joining. We don't ask for any sort of diagnosis or anything like that. You know, if people feel they would benefit from it and they, yeah, then again, just display an interest and then we'll take it from there.
Brilliant. I think, and then another question has just come in as well. Somebody said that they normally set up visits, and can any virtual tours be managed? Obviously, everything is being done virtually now. It's in the chat box, unfortunately.
The chat box. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. No worries.
Would you normally set up visits? I don't quite know what I mean by visits. Is that like one-to-one visits with people?
Joe, as soon as you ask the question, just put in there whether you're talking about one-to-one, whether it's group visits. Just expand a little bit on the question so we can get the answer. And then we have got a question in the chat box, in the Q&A box there as well, Chris. And finding out about youth groups in or around Penrith. How do people go about that?
Okay. I mean, I would just use. I don't really know, because of COVID. I've sort of lost touch with what's happening at the minute, to be honest, because a lot of things sort of stopped, or so I'm not 100% sure the best way around that in that area. So perhaps one of the other organisations here can offer some support on that. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. If anybody else does know about that or has any suggestions, you can either put it in the chat box, or if it's one of our panelists, feel free to unmute microphone and jump in. What I will say, well, thanks for all of the information there, Chris. We're going to look now at a video about your education. So it's about further education. So let me get to it. Let's get to the video, and then we can have questions after this one as well. So bear with me. Let's get it lined up.
Hello, my name's Deborah Naylor. I'm the area manager for Inspira in West Cumbria, and I'm joined today by Joanne Beach. Joanne, would you like to give us your job title, please, and who you work for?
I'm the post-16 LDD officer for Cumbria County Council, so basically work post-16 special educational needs.
Thank you. Joanne, what educational options are available to young people leaving sixth form at a special school?
Right, well, there's a number of options available, but the first thing I would say is that Cumbria Local Authority's policy is that local options should be looked at first in all instances. And this is because we recognise the many benefits a young person receives from being alongside community peers and learning the skills in the area in which they live. So firstly, we've got the local FE colleges, which is Lakes College, Carlisle College, Newton Rigg, Kendall College and Furness. And also young people in the south of the county can also access Myerscough College and Lancaster and Morecambe. For young people who might want to go into the work route, we can look at apprenticeships for young people with education, health and care plans as well. Secondly, we've got the Cumbria Community Learning and Skills programme, which is a joint adult social care and education funded programme. And that's for young people who might not want to go into a mainstream educational setting. We are developing supported internships across the country, which is which is an employment focused programme. And then we have Beaumont outreach provision at Carlisle and Barrow, which is specialist provision but delivered in Cumbria. Beyond that, we've got the residential college placements for those whose educational needs can't be met locally. But there's a process to follow that families and young people can access on the local offer.
Thank you. How are the views of the young people and their families taken into account when deciding on funding?
We very much take the views into account, and they are part of the decision-making process. From the age of 16, it's a young person's voice that we listen to over and above the parents and carers, subject to capacity. But what we do have to bear in mind is that if assessment shows that local provision can meet needs, then that is likely to be the offer that will be made. and that's because we're under a duty as a local authority to ensure efficient use of resources. So we do very much take it on board. The section A, which is the first section of the plan, is a crucial part of that document, in which all those views and aspirations can be recorded, and we can take that on board during the review meetings and assessment processes, etc.
Thanks, Joanne. If the young person doesn't want to carry on in education, what other options are available?
Right, well, for all young people in special schools, the adult transition social worker should be involved with them from around year 9, so they can start that transition planning for adulthood. An assessment will be undertaken just before the 18th birthday under Adult Social Care Act 2014, and that's to establish eligibility for any support that might come through that route. And that could be, for those who don't want to be in education, they might be able to access day services, or they might be able to access a direct payment for an employer personal assistant, for example, to take them out into the community. Alternatively, they can look to volunteer or access employment, and the sources of support through the DWP for young people in employment who need additional help, called Access to Work. Aside from that, you can look at the local offer to see if there's any kind of volunteering opportunities or other kind of community activities that they could become involved in.
Thank you. Students spend a standard 3 days a week in education. What about the other 2 days a week?
Well, going back to the answer I've just given, again, if those young people are eligible for adult and social care support, then it might be that additional support and activities can be put in place around the educational package. Alternatively, again, advice to look on the Cumbria local offer to see if there's community activities or things going on across the county that they could become involved in. They could look for volunteering, and they could also look to do some part-time work if they were able to do that. But it's very much about putting the sources of support together in order to fill those days if needed.
Thank you. And finally, does transport continue for young people when they leave school?
It can continue. Again, it's subject to adult and social care assessment, because transport to access employment or education is actually an eligible need under the Care Act. But once they've reached the age of 19 and they leave school, then that will come through that route. It wouldn't come through children's services. So it is still available, but it's subject to assessment and eligibility.
Lovely. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, Joanne. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. We've had some more good information there. Do we have questions? We actually do have questions. Answered that one. So we've got questions. Let me just change the slide. My daughter is in year 13 and we've not had any social worker involvement, and she came to special education from mainstream from year 12, but has had a statement then an EHCP since 3 years old. How do we access this service? Who is able to help us answer that question?
I can answer that one, Max. What you need to do is, depending on the area, is actually make a referral into adult and social care through the single point of access. So if you go onto Cumbria County Council website and look for the Health and Care Services section, there's full details of how you access support in each of the areas. There's an email address and a phone number, and it's called the single point of access. And if you make that referral in, you will be allocated to a transition social worker to undertake an assessment.
Brilliant. Okay, perfect. There was another question that came in. It's just in the chat box. I'm just going to roll back. Somebody's asked that their son would like to go to Carlisle College, but the transport there seems to be difficult for him in regards to funding for it. How can they deal with this? Does anybody can anybody suggest?
Again, I can answer that one, Max. The local authority actually commissions Inspire to manage special transport applications post-16 on our behalf. So it's what you need to do is speak with your personal advisor who's probably been attending reviews for your young person, and ask them to put in an application through that route. It comes into the local authority, and based on the evidence provided, a decision will be taken as to whether we feel they're eligible for special transport funded. If you go onto the Cumbria County Council website under Skills and Learning, there's a post-16 transport policy that gives you further details.
Brilliant. And somebody has asked about Newton Rigg College, because it was mentioned by Joanne Leach as an option. And do we know if it is to stay open yet?
We don't actually know at the moment if it is remaining open. I know there's some options. There's some people have put forward plans for it to remain open, but we don't have any final decisions as yet. So as it stands today, it looks like it will be closing in July, but there is some options going forward that hopefully might resolve that issue.
Brilliant. And also just row back a second into the previous question that we asked. The person who asked the question has followed up and said, is that through Inspira?
The transport question, yes.
Yeah.
They put forward special transport applications on our behalf.
Perfect. Also, if there anybody or any parents that have put questions in the chat box, just have a look in there, because we've had a few of them answered, and you can see them there. So somebody did ask about the visits, if they could set them up virtually, and it was an answer of either it would be one-to-one visits or group would be fine. It's just because parents are keen to understand venues and what's on offer, and the answer has come back that Chris has said that he'd be more than happy to arrange virtual chats with people who are interested in learning more about either of the youth projects. So he is available there. He's put his details in, use the resources, and talk to them as well. And somebody has asked, it's John, his name's John Kennedy, and he's decided not to go to college. He wants to know what other options are there. Would it be fair to say that we're about to find out about those options, because we're going to go through work experience in a second?
Yeah, but also I would suggest that the contact Inspira for careers information, advice and guidance, because they should be able to talk you through options. What I'm also going to do, Max, is I'll put my contact details in the chat box. I'm actually now the education team manager for Cumbria Local Authority for Post 16. So if anybody's got any questions that they want to ask me directly, I'll put my email address in, and I'm quite happy to take them by email as well.
Perfect. That's really good. That's very kind of you as well. And then we've got one other question has come in. Are there any developments regarding FE for YP with complex needs? Example, if no local provision meets needs of the young person, and if they do not want to go to a residential college?
We are trying to work through developing some more options. We've got one coming up later on, the high needs study programme that Joanne Hendren's going to talk about. We are very conscious that there isn't a great deal of choice at the moment, but as a local authority, we are trying to look at it and trying to develop those options. We've got, as I say, Beaumont College, which is a specialist college provider in Carlisle. It's a day placement that can be accessed non-residentially. But as a local authority, we're just trying to develop as many options as we can as possible, but we do recognise that, there is a shortage.
Perfect. This is brilliant. We've got lots of questions coming in, which I'm loving. This is really good. Everybody is thinking about what they want to know and using the resources, which is good. So no other questions have come in. Let's move on. Let's have a look at your work experience. So let's get going. I'm going to play the video, and then same format. We've got questions afterwards. Think about what you want to ask, watch the video, see what information is in there. So this is about the high level needs study program.
This is Cafe West at Whitehaven. It is one of our social enterprises. We have 3 cafes. Here, students attend on real work setting placements and learn a variety of vocational skills, which includes food preparation, food hygiene. Then people can experience customer service skills on the floor, using tills, money management skills, taking orders. It's real work in a real work setting. It's a very busy cafe on a public highway.
What's this picture of, please?
This is our 12-acre horticultural service up at Allaby. This service is known as Grow West. Grow West operates as a fully functional market garden, selling a variety of plants, vegetables, garden equipment. We also run a veggie box scheme from there, where students will be involved in all aspects of the work. We deliver between 50 and 70 veggie boxes a week. So again, students are fully involved in a real work setting, preparing boxes, tending vegetables, learning about plants. There's an awful lot of site maintenance goes on here. So obviously key skills like woodwork, joinery, all come into the placements up at Grow West.
That's smashing. And there's another nice picture. And then finally, what's this picture here of, Leslie?
This is the pottery. Within the pottery, students are placed. We design, create, fire, and then sell all our products. So again, a wide range of skills can be fostered here. It's again a real work setting. We sell all our produce, we market it, we've got online sales. So as well as the creative design aspect of the placement, students are encouraged to learn IT skills, customer services, money management.
And Joanne, could you tell us about the adult education end of the high level needs study programme, please?
Yeah, community learning and skills can provide a study programme for up to 15 young people a year. Generally, they're aged between 19 and 25, and often the young people that we take on may not be ready for college, full-time residential college, or a busy college might not suit them. They might just not be ready, or they might have different goals in life. They might want to get some work. They might be moving towards supported living. If they've got some sort of educational goal to work towards, they've got an EHCP and they meet our criteria, we can look at designing a special bespoke programme for them. And we work with a range of local partners, and we all come together to support that young person to achieve their goals. So West House is one of our partners that has a range of vocational opportunities, but we work across Cumbria, and if somebody's interested in animals, for example, we would look and try and develop a placement with them, maybe volunteering at an animal rescue centre, or everyone's different, and we create a bespoke programme to meet somebody's needs and abilities.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Elliot and his mum Michelle, and they're going to tell us about the high level needs study programme. So Michelle, could I just ask you, would you recommend the high level needs study programme to other parents and young people?
Yeah, definitely. It gave Elliot that much confidence. He learned so much. He actually enjoyed doing his maths and his English. That's why he was adamant he wasn't going to do any classwork, but he really learned a lot. You enjoyed it, Elliot, didn't you? Mm-hmm.
Elliot, could you tell us about the job? You got a job out of it, didn't you? Could you tell us about that?
Who do you work for? Capricorn Garden Services. Yeah. How many days a week? 2. 2 days a week. And he absolutely loves going, don't you?
Yeah. And the skills he learned from Allaby Gardens would have helped him get that job.
Yeah. He learned how to use a lawnmower. Yeah. Which plants to pull out when you're weeding. Yeah. Wrong ones. I think everybody does that.
Yeah. That's smashing. Well, thanks very much for that.
Perfect. So that's another great video with lots more information in. Get your questions in. We've had some questions already. I believe it's hopefully I get this right. It's Elizabeth, isn't it, that's going to be answering the questions. Anybody?
Joanne.
Joanne. I knew it. I knew I was going to get it wrong. Somebody has asked, is this program only in West Cumbria?
No, it's Cumbria wide, as long as we have a partner that we can work with in that area. We've not had any applications from Barrow, so we've not really developed any partnerships at that end, but we have worked with Right to Work in the south. We've worked with Chrysalis in Wigton, which is still West Cumbria. We've worked with Heathlands in Carlisle as a partner. So yeah, I mean, if there's an application and we can find and create a suitable package, ideally we're county-wide, but you know that as yet we haven't done any work in Barra.
Okay, perfect. This isn't so much of a question, but more, I think, as a ringing endorsement. Somebody has said that Cafe West and Grow West is brilliant, and it would be brilliant to see it in Barrow, Ulverston. So it's kind of a request, but also just a nod to the good work that you guys are doing at Cafe West and Grow West. Is there any chance of seeing it in the Barrow and Ulverston area soon?
Have we got anybody from West House here? I'll pass it on.
Joanne, can I just come in there? Because obviously, like you've said, because I manage this programme with Joanne from the local authority side. Mm-hmm. If we can identify applicants who wanted to access in the Barrow area, and as she said, and as Joanne said, there was a partner organisation through Adult and Social Care that we could link in with, then we would be very open to receive applications. Yeah. It's just not an area that's been developed so far, but that's just because of the young people requesting it, not requesting it, shall I say?
Yeah, yeah. We haven't had the referrals in.
Yes, yeah.
Hence,
that
we
was
haven't
the word I was looking
partners.
for.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And somebody would like to know that what let me get my words right. What costs are involved in placements with Cafe West? Does it cost the families anything, or is it the young adult paid for their work, or is the young adult paid for their work? Excuse me.
Occasionally, I think young people that have been placed there have got work. And bear in mind, I don't work for Cafe West, so I'm just talking from what I've picked up. If they're on a high need study programme through us, we fund that time through the programme. Our programme would look at education at formal qualifications, if that's appropriate. We would look at some work experience, and we would look at some enrichment time. So if the young person wanted to work in a cafe, and through our adult social care partners and West House and education, we would come up with a package. Some people do more work in the cafe because absolutely that is what drives them, that's their passion. Other ones might just manage half a day in a cafe. Other people might like the pottery or the gardening. So yeah, it's all very bespoke. We look at the young person and we look at what they want and need, and then we look at what we can offer. But if they're on our programme, there's no charge to the family, unless the partner takes them to Blackpool or does something like that as an enrichment opportunity, which is outside of education time, which then, yes, of course, you would pay for that.
Okay, perfect. That's a lot of good information there, and I can say what you said about whether people prefer pottery or gardening. There is another endorsement, because John has written that he's already been to Allaby Gardens and he's mowed the lawns there and he quite enjoyed it, and that's from John Kennedy at Mayfield School in Whitehaven. So again, more ringing endorsements coming in. Let's have a look. Do you work with anyone through Down Syndrome Association WorkFit program?
Some of the young people we've had have moved on to that, so we haven't worked directly with them yet, but we can. We're very happy to work with anybody, but I do know that certainly one of our leavers was moving on to them.
Okay, so the options are there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no restrictions, though. There's no barriers.
Yeah, I mean, we like the Martini people, anytime, any place, anywhere. If there's a good match, and it fits the young person's needs and fits with what we can do, yeah, we're interested.
Brilliant. And how does the programme go about finding new partners?
Oh, just, I work for Cumbria County Council. There's a lot of skills and expertise within the authority. So we put the feelers out, we find out who can do what. Joe's the manager and has a finger on the pulse with everywhere across the county. So we all just put our heads together. Sorry, Joe.
We also work through adult social workers to see what organisations they're working with in their local areas to see whether it would fit in with the programme, because it's about both sides of the programme complementing each other. So the access to the community through the adult and social care provision would underpin the education. So it's just through discussion at reviews, etc., and talking to the professionals involved with a young person.
Okay, that's good. And oh, I've got a bit of echo. Somebody has asked, could some information possibly be put together to share within review meetings for the Borough Ulverston to give an additional layer of opportunity and option for young people to consider? Is that something that we can answer now?
It's certainly something we can look at, yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Brilliant. Okay. Last question. Is there anything like Cafe West in the Eden area? Who knows the answer to this one?
I've not heard of anything.
Okay.
I'm not aware of anything at the moment. Can certainly, again, put the feelers out to see if we can find anything.
Okay.
The Appleby Hub from Right to Work, which is in Appleby.
Right,
Okay.
so that's something we could look at, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Good, worth asking the question then. Right, let's move on then. I think we've got another video to get to, so let's have a look. Let's move forward.
This is Cafe West at Whitehaven.
Oh, that one we already, I do apologise. So we're going to talk about paid employment and work experience. Let's move forward. Here we are.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Atkinson and I'm Social Impact Manager at CAFA. As part of our social economic strategy, we have a strand that covers education, as we feel education and giving everybody opportunity is really important so people reach their full potential. This morning I'm joined by Lance, who works for CAFA, and we're going to have a chat about his experience. Hello Lance.
Morning.
Morning. Could you tell me what your job is at CAFA, Lance?
I'm an office assistant.
And what does that involve? What do you do?
It involves time sheet management and general office jobs like filing or shredding.
Right, so anything that's needed done, Lance will come along and help people do that. What did you want to do when you were at school?
When I was at school, I always wanted to go down the sports science route of things.
Oh, right, so CAFA don't do sports science, we do sort of, we're a multi-disciplined industrial service company, so nothing to do with sport. So what made you change your mind from going down that career route?
I couldn't go down the sports science route because of various health issues I had in the past, and I had to go down a separate pathway from.
Right, yeah, so you had to change, you had to rethink about what you could do. So from school you went to college. What course did you do at college?
I done pathways 1 and 2.
Did you find that useful then? To do that? Has that helped you?
It has, because it gave me things to integrate with different people, to get a bit more confidence, and ultimately it's helped me in my work and ambitions in the future.
That's good, that's really good to hear that college is really useful to help you build that confidence to come into the workplace. So Lance came to us originally to do some work experience. Normally when we have a student doing work experience, they would come for a week and they would go around various departments. We want to make work experience meaningful for anybody that comes to us and get it right for the individual, so we look at an individual's circumstances. So because Lance had some health issues, we thought coming for a week was going to be too much, so what we did is devised a plan and put that together. Looking at what Lance was able to do, we extended the work experience to shorter days for a month, so Lance got the most from the experience. How did you find the work experience, Lance?
I thought it was a bit of a shock at first.
Right.
Because you're going into a big work environment, but once I got my feet under the table and I was working with nice people, things just started sorting into place.
That's good. And
I enjoyed it ever since, and I haven't looked back.
Yes, that's really good. So at the end of the work experience, Lance was offered a position with the company as an office assistant. How long have you been with us now, Lance?
I've been with Kia for 2 years, 7 months.
2 years, 7 months.
Yeah.
It's flown by, hasn't it? That's gone really quickly. Lance showed us on his work experience that he wasn't frightened to ask questions. He would ask if he didn't understand. He integrated really well into the team, and he's shown that he's really hard working and he really cares about his job, and he is a valuable member of the office team here up at West Lakes. What advice would you give any college or school leavers looking for their first job, Lance?
My advice to anybody out there is just because you have disabilities and you might have knockbacks in previous things that you went for, doesn't mean that you can't take that advice that you learned of previous things and adapt it to the one that you really want. And if you're willing to put the hard work in and strive for what you want, you will get there. You just gotta have some faith and work at it.
I think that's really good advice. That is really true what Lance is saying. If you get setbacks, don't let them put you off. Pick yourself up and carry on, and things will come into place. Hard work and resilience are really important. They're important in school and college, but they're important in the workplace. You know, as I've said, Lance is a really valuable member of our team. So what are your future hopes and dreams, Lance?
My future ambitions for KFA is to try to get as high up in the company as possible and work as hard as I can to try and achieve as much as I can.
That's great to hear, Lance. I'm sure that you will go far and do well. Thank you for talking to me today.
Well, that was another great video, and it was great to hear from Lance there. That was fantastic. And a very valuable point that was made in there about resilience. It is about resilience. You are going to get knockbacks, but don't let them put you off. Keep moving towards what you want, because sometimes the knockbacks aren't always a bad thing. It's just about the right opportunity. That's good. So have we got any questions? Oh, there must be some questions. I think I did see a couple that might have been answered on the side. Let's have a look. Now, somebody did ask a question, and I know that Joanna's answered it, but for those that may want to know as well, it was about, are there any plans to extend the type of practical courses that are currently only offered by Newton Rig in the north or west of the county, excuse me. And a lot of young people have had to travel a long way to access courses such as the small animal courses over the years. Joanna's rightly said that the curriculum within a college is decided by that college themselves, so it's a question that needs to be taken up with them directly, and it is worth doing, because if I would say if you have got those concerns or questions, those people are making decisions. They want to hear. The more time they hear those questions asked, then they'll be able to make the right decisions, I suppose. And what other sorts of work could you recommend for people who struggle with reading and writing, Elizabeth?
I think it's sort of looking at individuals to see what your skills are, what your interests are. Up at the West Lakes Science Park last year, we organised a day for the students from Mayfield and from the Pathways course to come along. And we got employers such as the cleaning department, if you like practical work, like talking to people, going into offices, a really important job, you know, keeping places clean, meeting lots of people. We went out to see the gardeners, the groundsmen. So if you want like working outdoors in all weathers, you don't mind heavy lifting like that. So it's thinking what it's important to think, because when Lance came to us, anybody that comes on work experience, what we like to do is do an interview before, because it's good practice at talking to employers coming to us, and we would find out, what do you want to get from your work experience? Why do you want to come and do work experience with us? So that's important to think about what you want to do, why you want to do it, what skills have you got? What can you do? Because a lot of people will say what they can't do, but we're looking at individuals to say, right, you might have a disability, you might have a learning difficulty, but what are your skills and what are your strengths, and how can that fit in with employers? So that's important to sort of think about that. We found that Lance came on his work experience, and we found that he was really good at data input. He spent some time with the data input people, and that became his job. Ended up working with the data input, and that was by giving it a go and trying things to see. So you don't know what you can do until you try it. And we find that people with special educational needs, you might have had setbacks, you might have health issues, and that gives you that resilience and the knockbacks, and it's picking yourself up and thinking, yeah, maybe that didn't go as well, but I could do that. You know, so jobs, catering, up at the West Lakes, we've got the catering, the groundsman, lots of different areas. And if you get a chance to sort of volunteer or do work experience, I would say go for that. Take any experience that you can possibly get, because that all adds onto your CV, which employers are looking at for giving for work. Because when I'm interviewing, I'm looking to see what skills you've got and what skills you can give to the company.
Is it also worth saying that if you do that work experience and you try different things, you're also likely to find out what you don't like and what you don't want to do, and it will push you towards those things that you do like. You'll find more easily what you do enjoy and what you're good at. And
yeah,
with
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you don't try, you don't know what you like and what you don't like, do you? So it's.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said with Lance, he tried the data inputting and found he was good at it. Well, if you hadn't tried it, you wouldn't have found out maybe. So somebody has asked, well, we've got two questions. Let's go with the first one first. Where do we find the companies that will offer supported work experience for young people who are autistic in Carlisle? Who can answer that one? Where do we find the companies that will offer supported work experience for young people who are autistic in Carlisle? Do we know if there is somewhere that we can get this information? Does anybody know?
Right to Work are going to sort of touch on a little bit about this in the next presentation on supported internships.
Okay. All right. So we'll hold off on that one for a second. And then Elizabeth, I suppose somebody asked a question. Does it matter if people are shy?
No, it doesn't matter at all. Anybody going into the workplace, it is a transition from school into the workplace, and you'll find a lot of people are shy, and it takes time to sort of settle in and get to know people and get used to everyone. It might be you might struggle at interviews, so if you find a formal interview really difficult, if you tell your employer that you're going for interview that you would have a problem with that, they might be able to interview you in an informal way. We sort of look at the individual and think, how can we make the experience better for you? You know, so if sitting in front of a panel of interviewers absolutely fills you with dread, tell us, and we would think of a way maybe to ask you the same questions informally. So it's having the conversations with employers to see how we can work around things like that. And being shy, most people are shy that come into work, but a few weeks in work, when you're working with nice people in nice teams, that you will overcome that shyness.
Brilliant. Very good advice there. Tracy has asked a question, are there work opportunities working with computers?
I would say yes. There's lots of opportunities working with computers. We're in a computer age. Lots of companies are using computers. So I would say yes, there's lots of opportunities all around working with computers.
Absolutely. And like you said, we talked about perhaps being shy, but then there is also about being bold and asking the question, because if you don't ask, you don't get. And John Kennedy has asked, would CAFA be able to offer me any work experience? And maybe that's something that John could get in touch with you directly about, Elizabeth, maybe.
Yeah, I would say if John, does he have, what I will do is have a conversation with him. Anybody that wants work experience, I don't just automatically say yes, because I'm not sure if we're the right fit for what John wants. So I would offer him to come and have an interview. Well, it would be a virtual interview we'd have to do now because of the situation. But normally I'd say, come up to the office, come and have a chat with me. Let's have an informal interview, talk to find out what you're wanting to do. And I would definitely look to see if there was an opportunity for him to come to CAFA. If there wasn't the opportunity at CAFA, I've got sort of lots of different networks with different people because I'm working with different companies. I might be able to find him something with another company that would suit him, you know, so definitely I'm happy to have a conversation with him about his interests.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And there's the value of being bold and asking the question, because if you don't ask, you don't get, and you might not find out. So very good work, John. Well done. Yeah, I like that. That's bold. That's very good. I do wish more people were like that. You're welcome, John. No worries. You have said thank you very much. Okay, so if there are any more questions that come in for Elizabeth, we can capture them. But let's move on. We've got a video before we hear from the next speakers, and we're going to hear from Reese. So let's get to it.
I'm Reese. I'm in Workington's entertainer. I'm really enjoying it. It's my second week. So far, my jobs is just odd jobs, stock taking, and pretty much greaser if I'm not doing anything.
Are you getting good support from Right to Work?
I'm getting good support from Right to Work. They're helping me out in case I lose track. They're there if I need someone to talk to if I'm not comfortable going to staff, and they're just pretty fun to work with.
Perfect. There we go. We heard from Reese, and this is about your work experience and supported internship programs. And I believe we're going to hear from Claire and Jim. Evening.
Hi.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody.
Hi. So, Right to Work currently deliver supported internships on behalf of Kendal, Carlisle and Furness College. For the first year, this is our first year of working as well as working with the colleges. We're working independently of the colleges with the local authority. So the learners that are on the supported internship programme are aged between 16 and 24 years old. They've all got an EHCP, an educational healthcare plan. It's a study programme for a full academic year. Typically, we work 3 days a week. And whilst they're on the programme, the majority of the learning is done whilst they're on their work placement. So the programme is aimed at learners who are ready and wanting to enter the world of work, which is quite key. The unique part of the programme for Right to Work is we provide job coaches. So the job coaches help and support and train the learners within that job. So they take the pressure off employers, they liaise with employers, and they are there for that repetition of learning the key tasks that maybe an employer hasn't got the time to keep repeating. It's a very flexible programme. We go at the learner's pace. It's individual to the learner. The aims, we build confidence, stamina. The learners are learning new skills, finding out strengths and weaknesses, a bit like the presentation before, that you don't know if you like something until you give it a go. And finding out that you like something and you don't like something is equally as good. So just some examples of previous placements that Right to Work have supported learners in. We've had people in placements with the police, with Furness General Hospital, within hospitality, hotels, various different departments within hotels, supermarkets, florists, children's nurseries, you name it. It's, as I said before, it's unique and to the learner, so it depends what the learner wants to do for their work experience. We aim to get work placements with what we call real employers, so that they're getting the full experience. There is reviews throughout the academic year, which employers feed in to the reviews. The ultimate aim at the end of our supported internship is to try and secure paid employment for the learner. Also voluntary work, if that's more appropriate for the learners. Just some facts and figures from our last year's learners that we've just, is literally hot off the press. So for last year's learners, we had 86% of our learners who complete the programme have gone into paid or voluntary employment, which we're pretty proud of, with obviously everything that's gone on with the COVID restrictions. If you want to find anything more about our supported internships, our website is a really good place to look, which is www.righttowork.org.uk, and then you go to the Work and Learn tab, and then there's a supported internship tab, and there's actually a really good video on there from one of our last year's learners, a gentleman called Joe, and he talks really well through his experience from the start to finish. There's also an e-brochure on there called I Can Do It, which also gives you information about the supported internship programme. Now, Jim, have I forgotten anything?
No, you haven't forgotten anything, Claire. I might as well have watched the football. No, I think we see ourselves as a bridge from the education setting to employment, and I think maybe Joanne will sort of back me up on this by saying that we are dealing with learners for whom this will be the last year of their EHCP. So that's important to understand. Would that be fair to say, Joanne?
It is, yeah. It's very much seen as a progression, the next step after education. So we would expect the outcome of this programme to be either into employment, voluntary work, but for the EHCP to cease at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, if voluntary work or employment isn't an option at the end, they do have quite significant work experience to go on the CV to start looking for other employment options themselves as well.
Yeah.
But it's very much about managing the programme around the aspirations of the young person and the area of work that they want to be in. It's about linking it to, you know, what they enjoy, where they might want to work. And it's got to be real life work experience rather than just what's the way of putting it?
These are real jobs.
We're looking for real jobs, yeah.
And the, as Claire said, the unique part of our program is the role that the job coaches play, because they are there to support our learners, but they're also there to support the employer. So that sort of liaison between the two helps these become more relevant to the learner, the way that the job coach supports both the learner and the employer.
Yeah, it's about breaking down barriers for employers to understand how to employ a young person who might have additional needs. So it's, you know, it's trying to get over those barriers as well. There's a question on the chat from about what places are working involved as part of the Furness College supported internship programme, and I think it goes back to that individual. It's very much around the individual young person, working with them to understand the area that they want to be in, and then looking to see if there are employment options that would link in with those aspirations.
Yeah, and they may not know that when they come to us. So that is part of the preparation that we do. We would go through what their experience so far has been, what their aspirations are, in order to identify an appropriate work placement, because obviously we don't want to be putting square pegs into round holes and for the program to fail. So we will do a lot of preparation work with the learner.
And I think it's fair to say, Jim, that we have had young people who've maybe gone into a placement, it hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
So what happens then is that we would look for alternative options that are more appropriate.
Absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
Thank you.
There's a lot of information there. Oh, quite a lot of echo. We've got some questions. What work experience links or places of work are involved as part of the Furness College supported internship programme?
Well, it's more about the individual learner. I mean, it's not so much that we have a basket of jobs, as it were. We are looking at the learner, and then part of our team comprises job coaches and an employment advisor. The job coaches will feed information that they have from their one-to-one work with the learner to the employment advisor, who will then be approaching all the time, approaching employers to make sure that the aspirations of the young person are matched to a proper employer.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense, and I think hopefully it will to everyone as well. It does make sense how that works. Is there anything similar in West Cumbria?
Yes, well, can I just say thank you to Sue Lamb, who's on here, for she presented us with some referrals from people that she was working with this year, because our program this year is direct referrals from people who have finished, as it were, with an education setting. So they've come direct to us through the county.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what is the preparation time for the learner going into an internship? If it is looking at the learner, but there is nothing that matches what they want to do at that time, how does it progress? What does that look like then? Valid question. Keeping you on your toes, Jim.
It's as long as it's as long as it takes. I mean, hopefully, we do have a model, but it's not cast in stone. Yeah. And that would probably be, we would work maybe for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks with the learner to assess what their abilities are. And again,
sorry, Jim, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that it is a really flexible, unique program that is aimed at the learner. So some learners get onto a work placement a lot quicker because they're a lot more ready for the world of work. So other learners, we need to do a little bit more preparation work with, depending on the type of work placement they're looking for. Some might be quite specialist, whereas others, it may be easier to find a work placement. So without sounding, it is really unique down to the individual.
I mean, also, I suppose it's worth pointing out that although it is a different approach, it's probably more worthwhile because you're thinking about the individual and getting them the right opportunity and trying to make it right for them, rather than just a one approach and trying to make everybody fit that approach. So it is more tailored and it is more specific. I think it's better, and I'm sure people that have experienced it would probably say that it's worthwhile. So sometimes patience is necessary. We talked about that at the beginning. Was it Lance that said it about resilience and maybe patience as well? It's just about being patient to get the right opportunity as well. Okay.
And we're not encumbered by deadlines, as it were. I mean, we do have, as Claire has said, we do have that ultimate objective, which is to turn the placement into something relevant at the end. But we do not have sort of built-in deadlines where we must be in a certain place at a certain time along the program. It's very much individual.
Perfect. That does make a lot of sense. Okay, so we're going to look at apprenticeships as well. Do you want me to go into the video about how to apply for an apprenticeship?
Yeah, that would be smashing. Thanks.
Perfect. And then remember, as we go through the video, if you've got questions, think about the questions you've got, ask them. As you've heard tonight, there's been a lot of questions, but we're getting the answers. So let's have a look.
Hi, my name is Amanda Gill and I'm one of the Apprenticeship Officers here at Cumbria County Council, and today I'd like to just take a few moments just to talk to you about the apprenticeships that we offer. So we're more than you think here at the Council, so it's all about serving the people of Cumbria. So we support over 300 schools, we deliver home care, we look after care homes as well, and we support fire stations. We have a wide ICT department with lots of opportunities in there, which help support the whole of our organisation, as well as libraries, And we've got the 4th largest highways network in England. So as you can imagine, there's an awful lot of opportunities for a wide variety of apprenticeships with the council. So when we think of some of the careers, these could be engineering, construction, right the way through to teaching assistants. And all these apprenticeships range from a level 2, which is the equivalent to GCSEs, and right the way up to a level 7, which is the equivalent to a master's degree. So our apprenticeships are designed by industry experts. So what this means is that within our organisation and with other organisations, what they've done is look at the jobs that need to be completed and actually worked to work with training providers and colleges to design the best training that's going to give people a qualification at the end of it and the expertise and the knowledge and skills to actually do that job in real life. So all of our job combines working within the organisation as well as some sort of classroom training, so whether that's at college or with the training provider. So it's a good blend there. We also have our apprenticeship officers, and what we do is we sort of work with the training providers and with the apprentices and their managers to help them understand if there's any additional things that we can support with. So is there access to work requirements, and do people need additional help with their maths and their English, or is there anything else that we can put in place? So we will look at what support we can offer in a bigger picture to help people achieve their potential, because that's the main focus of the programme, is to help people come in, learn the job and have all the skills and knowledge they need to be able to gain that qualification at the end, as well as move on to employment at the end of the programme. So with the apprenticeship structure, you will have competency, knowledge and skills that you will learn. So this is the practical bits about how to actually do the job that you're training to do. There will be the opportunity to do literacy, numeracy and ICT skills for people who haven't done it already. And there are additional qualifications that are relevant to that job. So what we want to do is give people as much as we possibly can, as much support and help as we can, so that it helps them to actually get the job at the end of the programme, whether that's a job within the team that they've been working in, within our organisation, or whether that's with a different organisation, or it may be going on to further education somewhere else. So what do we look for in our apprentices? So we want people who want to work with us, who are enthusiastic. Our key thing is about being passionate about working with the people of Cumbria. We want to support people who live in our county and to help them grow and improve their lives. And that's what we want to see in our apprentices as well. So we're looking for people who are motivated, who are enthusiastic, who are keen to learn. And in return, what we'll do is we will do everything we possibly can to help you get the skills you need and develop to be able to complete your apprenticeship and go on and feel successful and be able to do those various jobs that you wish to do and to start fulfilling and starting your careers. So if that all still sounds of interest, we would invite you to apply for a vacancy that would be on our website. What will happen then after your application comes through, first thing is you get invited to attend an aptitude test. So this is just to look at maths and English, so please don't worry about this. Basically, all it's for is to enable us to assess what level your maths and English are at, so that we can put in the proper help and assistance for different people with their apprenticeship to make sure that we can help them overcome anything that they need support with, and we can have the proper assistance in place ready for when they start that apprenticeship. Obviously, this will be continually looked at as people go on, and we can either increase support or decrease support depending on what each individual needs. And we're really passionate about that, tailoring our support to each individual person. So once that's happened and the aptitude test has been sat, all the applications are then shortlisted, and what that means is we go through each application, we look at what people have said, the reasons why they want to work with us, do they look like they're really passionate, they're keen, they want to learn, that sort of thing. And then the people that we sort of identify from that we'll invite to interview. And then when people come through to interview, we also ask that if anyone needs any reasonable adjustments, so we are an equal opportunities employer and we will make any adjustments at interview that we obviously are reasonably able to do. But we invite people to come forward and tell us if there's anything, if they feel they have a disability or they have a need and there's something that we can do to help them, then we're more than happy to do that. The main point of our interviews is that we get to know you, and we want to give you every opportunity possible to be able to show us your best and tell us all about you and all the wonderful things that you can do and that you want to learn to do with us. So please keep in contact, please have that dialogue with us, because we're really happy to help and do what we can to offer that support. So then obviously once successful, there may be pre-employment checks and things, but again, like I said, that's nothing to worry about. That would all be explained during the interview process. So if you'd like to find out more and you'd like to come and join us here at the council, please have a look at our vacancies, which will be on our website. And either you can do that, or you can give us a call, or you can email us and ask us any questions. So like I say, we're more than happy to talk to you about each of the jobs, give you more information about those, and give you any support we can. And also please let us know if there's any adjustments you'd like to interview, or if you have any questions on the application process or the apprenticeships at all. Thank you.
Brilliant. So that was good information about how to apply for apprenticeships at the council. If you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A box. I think there was a really valid point that came out there, that the interview is, obviously every interview is, people are going to be nervous. Everybody's nervous at an interview, but it's about having a conversation to discover about you, rather than anything to be worried about. It's just an exploration. It's about you, who you are, what makes you you, what makes you unique, what excites you, what doesn't excite you, and how you would fit into the company. That's kind of what it's about. So it's not really anything to be worried about. It's talking about yourself, which should be good. We have got a question. Are there any apprenticeships for young people who would struggle with the aptitude test?
Yes.
Sorry, Amanda, do you want to take that? Go on. No, you go for it, Amanda.
Yeah. All right, fine, that's fine. Yeah, so there are, basically, like we said in the video, the aptitude test is just there for us to get an idea of your level of maths and English. Obviously, depending on the apprenticeship that you go from, what level it is, sometimes it's essential for higher level qualifications. But we would welcome people to come and talk to us if they've got any concerns about that as well. I mean, is there anything you want to add to that, Liz?
That was fine. I think that's exactly what I would have said, Amanda. Yeah. I think just also to add to what you were saying before, Max, was around the you know, if you are thinking and you might be nervous about an interview, I mean, some of the tips and hints that we post on our website, as well as top 10 hints and tips to follow. But on top of that, I think for us, we've always sort of said, you know, if you practice, if you think about the questions that you're going to be asked, have a really good look at the job description. Mostly those questions are around that. They're around what the county council will be looking for and what skills you can bring. If you get any of your family, friends, just to keep on practicing, asking you questions, and then giving your responses as honest and as transparent and open as you can be.
That's a really good point as well about interviews. Like we said, everybody does find them nerve-wracking because we care and we want to present the best of ourselves. But the more you practice and the more you think about the questions that you could be asked, or even just how you would want to answer certain questions, or how you would want to come across what you would like to say, as long as you practice it, it's about preparation. Because when you prepare yourself beforehand, what you're doing is you're calming your nerves, because you already have an idea in your head of how to answer questions that might come up. You're not going to know every question that's going to come up. That's fine. Nobody expects that. But just think about them. And then the more you have prepared, the more confident you'll feel, or the less nervous you'll feel on the day, because it's not a surprise. You have something there. And remember, so I used to be a recruiter, so I've conducted hundreds of interviews, probably thousands. I know people are nervous, and as an interviewer, people know that people coming to attend an interview are going to be nervous, and so it's okay. Being nervous is fine. It's part of the normal process, and that's
it's okay. And even when you are in the interview, I think it's important that you, when you're asked a question, if you stop and you breathe from your stomach, not from your chest, and then that slows everything down, and you can start to be less nervous if you're breathing correctly, because the breath is the bit that makes you nervous.
And also, I would say that when you're asked a question, it's okay to pause for a couple of seconds and think about the question that you've been asked, because it just gives you a little bit of time to actually think about what you were asked. And as if I was an interviewer and I'd asked somebody a question, they took a few seconds to pause and think, that's okay by me. Shows me that they're thinking about the question. And also it just calms your nerves. It just gets you ready. And like Liz said about breathing properly. So don't worry about those things. Being nervous is normal, but we can all do a little bit of preparation to make ourselves feel a bit more comfortable. And it's essentially about you as a person. Are you somebody who people want to have around that are going to bring value to the place? With that, somebody has asked, what about young people who struggle with language and communication?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. What does that mean?
So I would suppose that in terms of people who are applying for positions or going to interviews, if they're struggling with language and communication, I mean, how would they go about it? Is it going to be too much of a barrier? Would allowances be made for it, or would we approach it in a different way? Is there circumstances where it would be okay?
I mean, we would approach it, I suppose, on an individual basis. So if you raise that within your application form, and the first point is to, if you are and consider yourself to be disabled, then that enables us to see, first of all, and consider through shortlisting. Then if you, as Amanda said, get through the shortlisting process, then we can make contact with you and ask you the question, is there some sort of help or support we can offer? And Amanda mentioned it before about making adjustments for that. So we would look at it on an individual basis. Would that be is that enough for you? I'm not sure who asked the question.
So. I think so. But whoever did ask the question,
I think something I would add to that.
Yeah, go on, Amanda.
Sorry, I would also add to that we welcome that people can bring things along with them. So if you've actually got any notes that you want to bring along, any evidence of any work, so any good projects that have happened at school or anything that people have been involved in that they think, I'd like to share that in an interview, we welcome that people to bring things along as well and show us what you've been up to. And it can also help if you make a few notes. So on any of our information about what our internships are about, it says about the sort of things we're looking for. I mentioned a few of them in the video as well.
Well, losing you just a little bit there, Amanda.
So if you make a few notes, when people make some notes about things like that they would like to say, it can kind of help when you get to oh, sorry. But yeah, so just kind of bring some notes and we welcome that as well. So that kind of makes people feel a bit less nervous because they've got something to refer back to.
Yeah, and again, I've just noticed, obviously, somebody's just said, I noticed somebody's just said something around people with autism. I think what I would add is that sometimes, I know it's not always the case, but sometimes an online interview is better for people who have autism. And we have done a recent round of interviews where it's worked out really well for people with autism online. They tended to prefer that method because we've reverted to online interviewing at the moment through COVID, and it's helped certain people and they've come across well and they've succeeded and they're now in post. So it's possible to work both ways. Again, as I say, on an individual basis, like Amanda says, if necessary, we can bring people in onto the interview, and we can also, ask you to prepare notes, and we can work on different things in different ways depending on the support needs.
Brilliant. I've just noticed the time, and I'm going to say that we are approaching 7:30, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop, because we have got one more speaker to hear from and ask questions of. It has been so far a very valuable session tonight, and there has been lots of questions. I don't really want to stop them because the questions have been really, really worthwhile, and it's important that we're asked them and we get through them. Amanda was saying about bringing notes to an interview. I take notes to every interview I attend, whether I was interviewing somebody or going for a job. I always take my notes because I get nervous and I forget things, and actually having those notes in front of me just reminds me of what I want to say and any questions that I want to ask. And as somebody who conducts interviews, it's great to see somebody turn up with notes, because then it just shows me that they might know that they're nervous, but at least they're prepared for it.
Just to add to that, Max, just a very quick one, sorry. We did a recent round of interviews just in the last couple of weeks, and it was an online interview, and we could quite clearly see that the young person we were interviewing had their notes stuck up on the wall. So for the first time, it was a bonus for them. They were all on the wall behind them, behind the screen. So it was something to think about for next time for when I'm interviewed online.
Good tip, actually, very good tip. And somebody has asked, Mia has asked the question, are there any apprenticeships that are accessible for young adults with learning difficulties that are learning on a lower academic level? Example, entry level 1.
If that is in Cumbria County Council, then our apprenticeships, certainly at this moment in time, have started at level 2. Our level 2s tend to be around highways operatives, customer services. There used to be business administration, but we now don't have an apprenticeship standard starting at level 1 or 2. It starts at level 3. So ours tend to start on level 2 if we're actually advertising those.
Okay, perfect. Right, thank you for answering all of those questions. So let's move on. We're going to talk about work experience, and it's people first that are going to talk about the Hospitality Academy. Let me play the video that we've got, and then we can get to questions. Bear with me. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Faye.
Hi, I'm Tom. We'll be showing you around the conference and then showing you what rooms, what happens in each room. We'll start.
Yeah, let's start down here.
Start right here.
So this is reception.
This is the reception. This is where we do the meet and greet. People come through that door and then we just greet them with a smile and say go into room such and such, and then take them upstairs to the room. To the rooms.
Yep, and it's a really important part of that experience, isn't it, where we're getting to meet new people and work on our customer service skills. And as you can see, we're very safety conscious at the moment, and we also do things like temperature checks for our customers, don't we?
Temperature checks, and we don't shake hands like we used to. But yeah, we do temperature checks. It's the first thing we do.
Yeah. So we really want our customers to enjoy their experience here and have a nice time, and that's what our learners are here to do, is to increase their customer service skills and their people skills. Yeah, should we show everybody upstairs?
Show everyone upstairs.
This is one of our biggest rooms, and you can see it's all set out for a conference, for training. And what kind of jobs do we do in here, Tom?
So here we do clean the tables, or clean the lights over there, or even cleaning the sides.
Yeah. And do we ever have to move the tables around and change
tables
things?
around, and also heaver the floors and change a lot around.
And how about when people are using the room? What might we come in here and do when people are in here?
Once people in here, take classes away and other stuff that people time for.
Excellent. So we really try and make it a nice, comfortable experience for our guests, so that they can have more tea and coffee if they want, clear their things away if they've had lunches. Yeah. And we help to reset the rooms afterwards as well, don't we? Ready for the next meeting or the next conference. Yeah. Well, shall we take everybody down to the Riverbank kitchen now? So this is the Riverbank kitchen. What do we do in here, Tom?
So we serve people food and drinks. There's food and drinks up there. People help themselves and sit here at the tables. We also clean the tables. So ready for the next people to sit down.
Yeah. So our brand new dining and kitchen area is somewhere else that we can learn lots of skills about serving people, about hospitality. We can look at how to serve food safely and correctly, how we can clear up after service, how we can again change the layouts and the setups of the tables and the rooms.
So there's the freezer, where we also check the temperature of the freezer.
Yeah, so we do all the safety checks that need to happen to keep everything safe. We use the dishwasher in there as well to clean all the dishes and cutlery once food's been served. We will put things back out again and keep things nice and clean and tidy. Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about what you enjoy most about working in Hospitality Academy?
So I enjoy most about working here is like, you know, doing meet and greets, talking to different people, and even the temperature checks. It's like before we even done that, now you have to be experts. You know, keep people who are coming in here saying that's what I do, and temperature checks.
And you've been getting lots and lots of practical work experience while you've been here, and you've also been able to get 2 qualifications whilst you've been working here as well. So it's a mixture of education and work experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Back in January, I had work experience as a hostel. Yeah, that went well. You know, it's like, so it's a lot, it's like a really big,
There's a lot to keep us going and a lot to keep us busy, isn't there? Yeah. So if you are interested in joining us, then please get in touch and we can tell you a little bit more about what we do.
Well, there we go. Another great video. And I think we've got Faye who's available for questions. So has anybody got any questions about that? I mean, it was a great video to see. Great. I'm biased. I worked in hospitality for years, so obviously I love that kind of setting and just being involved.
Yeah, it's a great place to work, definitely. And you can see our learners like Tom, they just come on leaps and bounds in their confidence because they're dealing with our guests and our customers every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic because it is putting you in front of people. It is making you become confident with people. You are going to have to interact. And I suppose with the checks that we've got now, especially with temperature checks having to be done and the little safety protocols at the beginning, it kind of, I don't know if forces is the right word, but it does kind of have to make that interaction happen, doesn't it? Straight away.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does. We're approaching people pretty much even before they get in the building nowadays, whereas they were normally through the door beforehand. So, we're coming up and it's stuff that people are still getting used to themselves. So it's about how do we get our learners to feel confident with what they're doing when you've got someone coming up a little bit, maybe nervous, and they're not quite sure what they're going to need to do to enter the building. So, but they've taken to it brilliantly. They do great.
Good. So we have got a couple of questions come up. So where is the Hospitality Academy and at what age can you access this?
So our conference centre where we run Hospitality Academy is based in Carlisle. So we are on Milbourne Street. We're in the old University Library and it was all converted 2 years ago to be a state-of-the-art conference centre.
Brilliant. And do they get external work experience with outside employers?
Yes, we do. So as Tom mentioned in the video, we've got a great business partnership with the Holston. And obviously up until like lockdown March, we were doing some regular work experience with them, but we've also had work experience placements with John Watts Coffee. They have a couple of different cafes and eating areas in Carlisle, so we've got a great relationship with them. We've also had the chance to send our learners to Caterite, which is one of the big catering suppliers in Cumbria. We've also had the chance to send our learners to Overwater Hall on Bassenthwaite Lake near Keswick. They got the chance to help to create some of the food that was served for that evening's meal. They worked with the head chef there, and we were also given a secret shortbread recipe, which we've adopted as our own. And if you ask us nicely, we'll make you some.
So it's a secret, not so secret recipe. Can school pupils do work experience with you if they have any HCP?
So we have arranged the odd little bits of work experience with people. The majority of the people that come to us, our learners, tend to be post-education, post-school, or alongside college or after college. And a lot of our, the majority of our learners come to us through referrals through their social workers and the day services provision. So they work together a bit like Joanne was talking about earlier. When people are moving on and out of education, then that can happen. Now, we have worked with Joanne to create a couple of bespoke programs for individuals as well, but the majority of our learners come through that route, and we are always looking at different ways as well. The ages that we tend to work with are 16 and above, and one of the reasons that we do that is because we're really thinking about the people who are really primed and ready for work again. Like the great work that's going on at Oakley, really. We want people who are really ready for that world of hospitality and are really happy to be finding out more and have got the energy and enthusiasm for that. As you will know, it's energetic industry, isn't it? So
absolutely,
yeah.
it certainly is. Interesting question. Maybe this is going to be virtual, but somebody is asking, anyone who is interested in accessing provision with you, arrange a visit and a tour of the facilities?
Absolutely, they can, yes. So currently at the moment, we would be quite flexible on whether we do that in person or whether we do that virtually, yes. Okay. But, you know, when we would look at that on a case-by-case basis, but we have been able to do some tours safely. As you can kind of see from the video, we're very safety conscious. We've got a lot of protection in place, and lots of space for social distancing. So even at the moment, some person-to-person visit, well, once lockdown's finished, of course, but some person-to-person visits, would be fine.
Brilliant, fantastic. And how long can someone access provision with you?
So at the moment, people can access Hospitality Academy for up to 3 years, and then we would be hoping to be able to progress them on into volunteering, paid work, part-time work, or, you know, their next steps. Brilliant.
Okay. Right, I think it's time to move on. If we haven't got any more questions for Faye, thank you for that. We're going to move on. We're going to hear about work experience. Let's have a look. We're going to hear from the James Rennie School. So let's go for it. We've got 2 videos to go.
In school, we provide students with opportunities to do different work placements. It enables them to try different jobs that they can do in the future, but also provides employers with opportunities to work with students with special needs. We've established links with local businesses where our students can try jobs like cafe worker, car mechanic, shop assistant, bakery assistant, working on the farm and many more. Each student is treated individually and their individual needs and interests are taken into account when considering a work placement. We also carefully consider support packages when organising placements. For example, some of our students will have a member of staff from school working alongside them. Others will have to travel to their work placement and work independently.
Hi, I'm Kaya from James Rennie School.
Hi Kai, can you tell us a little bit about your work experience?
I do my work experience at Fisher's Garage.
All right, and could you tell us what you've learned there?
How to change brake pipes. How to change brakes, discs, and change wheels, and bleed clutch.
Lovely, that's a lot of work. Could you tell us for how long did you do it for? 2 months. It's quite a long time. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's brilliant. Okay, so any final questions? Obviously, we've heard from a lot of speakers tonight. We've seen videos. We've heard a lot of great information, and I know we've gone over, and I apologize for that, but I think a lot of the information that is in here has really been valuable. We've had some great questions, really good questions, really important questions as well. And I'm hoping that you guys are getting the answers that you've been expecting or wanting. I'm saying wanting or needing, but you've got answers to those questions that you maybe had, and the possibilities of making contact with people, of putting their emails, get in touch with them for those opportunities. Hopefully, John, you'll get work experience with CAFA or somebody else, whoever's going to be right for you. Lots of people have put their email addresses in here. Faye has said that her email address is in there. If you've got more questions, just email her. And the same with Joanne. Just get in touch if you have those questions. If you have other information that you want to know. There's been a lot of information tonight. This session has been recorded. That was asked at the beginning. Is the recording going to be available? Yes, it is. So it is a lot of information. So if you do want to go back over it, that will be available. Go and watch it. So yeah, and I think we're all questioned out because I haven't got any final questions, but I do need to say thank you to everybody and thank you to you guys for attending. Without you guys coming and asking questions and being inquisitive, there wouldn't be a session. So thank you, and thank you for holding on until so late. And yeah, thank you to everybody who came to speak.
Thank you.
Susan, you're more than welcome. More than welcome. It's been a great session. So everybody, go and enjoy your dinner, go and enjoy your evenings. And Susan, is there any final words from you? And John has said thank you to all of us. And yes, thank you to you too, John. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for asking your questions. Brilliant.
Just to say thank you very much for all our panelists, for everybody who's joined us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've really enjoyed working with you. And if you do have any questions from Inspire, please contact us on at any of our centres. We'd be delighted to offer you any help and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.